When she realizes how deeply she hurt you, guilt doesn't come in all at once like a storm. It slips in quietly, almost unnoticed, until it weighs her down like a chain she can't break free from. At first, she may try to act as if nothing happened, as if the choices she made or the words she spoke didn't matter. But deep inside, something begins to stir. She starts to see the way you carried yourself, the way you gave her your love, your time, your energy without hesitation. And the contrast between what you offered and how she responded begins to eat at her. That guilt grows stronger every time she remembers your face, every time she hears your name, every time she thinks about what she had in her hands and didn't value. Shame and guilt work differently than anger or sadness. Anger burns fast and leaves ashes. Sadness may feel heavy, but it often finds release in tears or conversations. Shame is different. It lingers. It hides in the corners of the mind, and it grows silently in the dark. She cannot escape it because it isn't tied to you chasing her, calling her, or reminding her. It is tied to her own conscience, her own recognition that she did wrong by someone who only wanted the best for her. That recognition is heavy because it forces her to face herself, not just you. And facing yourself is far harder than facing anyone else. She may smile in public, she may post pictures as if she's moved on, she may even surround herself with people to distract her, but the quiet moments always betray her. When the noise fades, when the lights go out, and when she lies in bed alone, that's when guilt crawls back in. She replays moments in her mind, not the arguments, not the disagreements, but the times you showed up for her, the times you supported her, the times you loved her, when she wasn't even making it easy. And every one of those memories becomes a reminder that she failed, not just you, but herself. The reason guilt is so powerful is because it builds a wall of shame between her and you. She knows that even if she wanted to reach out, even if she wanted to say something, she would have to confront the truth first. She would have to look at you and acknowledge what she did, and that is something she cannot do. That wall of shame becomes the silent punishment she carries with her. It makes her avoid eye contact. It makes her hesitate to type a message. It makes her second guess every step because deep down she knows she lost her chance to do right by you. What she doesn't realize in those moments is that the more she avoids the truth, the stronger the guilt becomes. And while she thinks silence is protecting her from discomfort, it is actually her prison, one that she built herself and one she cannot escape from. That is why she can't face you anymore, because shame is a punishment she cannot run from. Silence has a way of amplifying everything she tries to hide. When she avoids you, when she refuses to look you in the eye or return your call, it is not always about strength or indifference. It is often about the fear of what she might feel when faced with the reality of you. The longer the silence stretches, the louder it becomes in her mind. It turns into questions she can't quiet down. What will he think of me now? Does he hate me? Does he still care? Does he see through my actions? That silence becomes unbearable, not because of what you're doing, but because of what she knows she can't undo. The guilt she carries begins to turn into shame, and shame breeds fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of having to admit the truth. This is why she avoids you, not because she has truly moved on or forgotten, but because she knows that facing you would mean facing the reflection of her own mistakes. Every second of silence feels like a mirror, showing her the distance that wasn't created by you chasing or ignoring, but by her own actions. So that's a pain no distraction can erase. In those quiet moments when she wants to reach out but can't, she battles with herself. On one hand, she may crave the comfort you used to give, the reassurance of your presence. On the other, she knows that if she comes back, she cannot pretend nothing happened. The silence between you becomes the reminder of the damage she caused. It reminds her that trust was broken, that loyalty wasn't honored, and that love was taken for granted. And because she doesn't have the courage to face that truth, she chooses avoidance instead. The longer this continues, the more unbearable it becomes. She might try to silence her own guilt by convincing herself you didn't care, that you moved on, but her heart knows the truth. That truth whispers in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when her phone screen lights up and it's not your name. When she scrolls back to old pictures or memories she pretends don't matter anymore. Silence makes those reminders louder. Silence magnifies every small thought until it becomes a weight pressing down on her. And here's what truly breaks her. She knows that silence is something she can't control anymore. At one time, she thought she held all the power, whether to talk, whether to stay, whether to walk away. But once silence becomes the punishment, she realizes it's no longer her choice. It's a consequence that she has to live with every day, one that only gets heavier the longer she avoids facing it. That is why silence becomes her loudest punishment, not yours. Shame is not just an emotion. It's a heavy cloak that wraps itself around her, making every movement, every thought, every interaction feel heavier than it should. When she can't face you anymore, it isn't because you have attacked her or confronted her. It's because she has confronted herself and lost. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame whispers, I am something wrong. And that's why she avoids you, because deep down, being in your presence would force her to acknowledge her own reflection, and she isn't ready to see that version of herself. Every memory of you carries weight now. When she thinks back to the moments where you gave, where you were present, where you loved without condition, that shame grows sharper. It's no longer just about missing you. It's about knowing she mishandled something precious. And because shame thrives in silence, the absence of your voice becomes the loudest reminder that she let something slip away that can't easily be repaired. Even if you don't say a single word, the weight of your silence tells her everything she doesn't want to hear. In this space, she tries to hide behind distractions, new people, social media, busy routines, anything to keep her from dwelling on the truth. But the truth has a way of catching up when the noise fades. At night, when the world quiets down, when she's lying in bed, scrolling through her phone or staring at the ceiling, shame taps her on the shoulder and forces her to replay what happened. She asks herself, why did I act that way? Why didn't I value him when I had the chance? Why am I so afraid to reach out? These questions don't go away. They just sit there gnawing at her silently. The irony is that the very silence she tried to use as a shield has turned into her punishment. She thought ignoring you, avoiding you would protect her from discomfort, but now it is what magnifies her regret. The silence tells her she can't undo what she's done. It tells her she may never get the chance to explain or to make it right. And even if she does, she fears it's already too late, that you've seen her true colors and won't look at her the same. That's the punishment shame brings. It makes her believe she's unworthy of forgiveness, unworthy of reconnection. And while she avoids you, she avoids herself even more. That's the most painful part. Silence doesn't just separate her from you, it separates her from the peace she longs for. She can't run from the mirror forever because silence follows her into every corner of her life, quietly reminding her of what she lost, what she broke, and what she can never fully escape. That is why shame becomes her silent punishment. When she can't face you anymore, it's often because deep down she knows you see her truth. You see through the masks, the walls, the excuses, and that terrifies her. Most people can hide behind smiles, behind small talk, behind distractions that make them appear fine on the surface. But with you, she knows that is impossible. You've seen too much. You've witnessed her flaws, her contradictions, and the moments she tried to pretend she was stronger or colder than she really was. And because you've held up that mirror in a way no one else has, she feels exposed in your presence. Shame grows sharper when you feel seen because there's no hiding from the reflection someone else holds up for you. This is why she avoids your eyes. Eye contact is powerful. It reveals what words can't cover up. One glance can speak louder than hours of conversation. And she fears that if she stands in front of you, one look will betray everything she's been trying to suppress. The regret, the longing, the sorrow, it'll all pour out without her even meaning to. So instead of risking that exposure, she stays away. Silence feels safer than confrontation. Distance feels easier than honesty. But deep down, it's not about you making her uncomfortable. It's about her not being able to sit with her own reflection when you are near. What makes this even more unbearable for her is that you don't have to say a single word. You don't need to accuse, to question, to remind her of anything. Simply existing, simply being in the same space is enough to awaken that discomfort. That's because the shame isn't in your voice, it's in her conscience. She knows that you once believed in her, trusted her, and offered her something real, and being reminded of that while knowing how she failed to value it is a truth too heavy to carry out loud. So she builds walls of silence and distance, hoping it will shield her from the reflection she's not ready to face. But shame doesn't just disappear when you ignore it, it grows in the shadows. The more she avoids you, the more powerful the silence becomes. The more she tries to erase the connection, the stronger the memory of it burns in her mind. And what's tragic is that she doesn't realize that the very act of running away makes the shame even heavier. By not facing you, she never gets to release it, never gets to forgive herself, never gets the chance to heal. In the end, her silence isn't strength, it's surrender. Surrender to shame, surrender to fear, surrender to the belief that she can't handle being seen for who she really is. That's why avoiding you feels like the only option, but it's also the very thing that keeps her trapped in her silent punishment. And so she hides because facing you would mean facing herself. Shame has a strange way of creeping into her life even when you're not there. It shows up in quiet moments, in the stillness of her thoughts, when there's no one left to distract her. She can go about her day smiling, working, keeping up appearances with the world, but the truth is, every small reminder of you brings back the weight she's been trying to bury, a song, a place, a phrase. Suddenly, she's transported back to the reality of what she lost and the role she played in it. And the shame she carries isn't only about the past, it's about the choices she continues to make, the way she avoids responsibility, and the fact that she cannot seem to escape her own guilt. The hardest part for her is that shame doesn't stay still. It lingers, it multiplies, it grows. What she thought she could push aside or silence has instead become louder in the spaces where she pretends to feel fine. At night, when everything is quiet, she feels it the most. The mind doesn't let go easily of things left unresolved. And while she may never admit it, those restless thoughts always circle back to you because you are tied to the truth she is afraid to face. She may tell herself stories to lessen the sting, blaming circumstances, blaming timing, even blaming you. But deep inside, those stories crumble because she knows they aren't solid enough to cover reality. She knows what she feels. She knows the regret that lingers. She knows the sting of what could have been. That's the silent punishment of shame. It never lets you fully escape the truth, no matter how much you try to rewrite it. And the irony is, the more she tries to bury these feelings, the more they control her. Suppression is never freedom, it's a prison. Every suppressed emotion finds its way back to the surface eventually, sometimes in unexpected bursts of anger, sometimes in tears she can't explain, sometimes in the emptiness that follows her through the day. And all of it ties back to the unspoken shame of knowing she mishandled something that mattered deeply. What she doesn't realize is that silence doesn't absolve her, it amplifies the weight she carries. Every day she refuses to confront her feelings, they take deeper root in her heart. Every moment she avoids facing you or even thinking honestly about what happened, she adds another brick to the wall between herself and peace. And in that way, she is punishing herself without even meaning to. Her silent punishment isn't something you have to enforce, it's something she enforces on herself. That is the cruel nature of shame. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need reminders. It doesn't even need confrontation. It lives inside and it grows stronger in the silence. And so, even without you saying a word, the weight she carries continues to follow her everywhere. The most powerful and painful part of shame is that it robs her of her ability to face you. It isn't that she doesn't want to reach out, it's that the very thought of doing so feels impossible because it would mean confronting herself. To face you would mean confronting the truth of what happened, admitting her mistakes and opening herself up to the possibility of rejection. That weight becomes unbearable, so instead she hides behind silence, pretending it doesn't matter, convincing herself she can move on. But deep inside, she knows she is running not from you, but from her own reflection in your eyes. When she avoids you, it isn't strength, it's avoidance born out of fear, fear of judgment, fear of vulnerability, fear of having to own the role she played. She knows that if she stood in front of you, every wall she has carefully built would come crashing down. That is why she avoids even the possibility of it. She could tell herself she's too busy, that she's fine, that she's over it, but the truth is she isn't ready to face the storm of emotions that would resurface. The shame she carries is like a mirror she cannot look into, and you represent that mirror more than anyone else. This is why she distances herself. This is why she chooses silence over honesty. To you, it might feel like indifference, but in reality, it's the opposite. If she didn't care, there would be nothing to run from. But the fact that she can't face you anymore reveals how deeply she does care and how much the guilt and shame weigh on her. She hides because she doesn't trust herself to hold it together in your presence. And this silent punishment she lives with becomes heavier as time goes on. Every day that passes without her facing you adds another layer of regret. Every time she thinks about what could have been, she feels the sting of what she's lost. Shame doesn't let her heal, it doesn't let her move forward, it keeps her stuck in the same cycle of avoidance, replaying the same memories and feelings over and over again. That is why she struggles to find peace, because peace only comes with acceptance, and acceptance requires facing the truth. The more she hides, the more she suffers, and that suffering doesn't announce itself loudly to the world. It plays out quietly in her heart, in her sleepless nights, and the thoughts she can't silence. That is her reality, and it is a reality she can't escape. Her silence isn't freedom, it's a prison of her own making, and the bars are built from shame and regret. In the end, the greatest punishment she faces isn't your absence, it's the inability to face herself through you.